$14,731. If you do a 4% increase on the real property rate, it would bring it to 17.5, which would make our revenue $586,923. The 2024 compensating real property rate would actually make the rate go down at 16.9, and that would produce revenue of $566,800. The personal property rate in 2023 was 21.99, and this rate is set by the real property rate. The 4% increase would make it 26.37, producing revenue of $211,551. The comp rate for personal property would be 25.46, which would produce revenue of $204,251. The motor vehicle rate was 12, producing revenue of $41,489. In 2024, it would be 12 at $50,635 revenue. The compensating rate would actually go down. So you could, this is a year that since the assessed values went up, if you went with a compensating rate, it would lower the rate that the citizens would have to pay on real property. So, and then the 4% increase obviously would increase it. So that's up to you all what you all want to do there.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, a motion to accept which rate you all want to go with.
I'll make a motion to accept the compensating rate.
I second the motion.
Okay, got a motion by Terry, second by Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
And
Thank you,
Earlene
guys.
has the ordinance ready, so we can do the first reading. We'll do the second reading and take the vote on it at the next meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Be careful. Be safe.
Whereas the City of Leitchfield is a municipal corporation of the home rule class in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and whereas the City of Leitchfield is required by the Kentucky Revised Statutes to annually by ordinance provide for the assessment of all property within the corporate limits of the city and levy an ad valorem tax thereon, and whereas the City of Leitchfield is authorized by Chapter 136 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes to impose a bank franchise and local deposit tax, be it ordained by the City of Leitchfield, Kentucky, Section 1, that ad valorem tax for 2024 of 12 cents of each 100 valuation is hereby levied on all motor vehicles and a 25.46 cents of each 100 of other personal property, and 16.9 cents of each 100 worth of property is hereby levied on all lands improvements held or owned by any person, firm, company, corporation, or association in his, hers, theirs, or its name, or a fiduciary or agent, and subject to taxation under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky located in the City of Leitchfield, Kentucky, including all property and franchises heretofore and thereafter assessed by the Department of Revenue, the State Board of Evaluation, and Assessment and Railroad Commission, which assessments to the extent applicable shall be adopted by the city. Taxes realized from said levy shall be deposited into the general fund of the city and utilized for general municipal purposes as determined by the city council. B, that the taxes hereby levied in this section shall become due and payable 30 days after the tax bill has been mailed, and if any tax bill is not paid 30 days thereafter, the tax shall be declared delinquent and shall be subject to a penalty of 6%, and shall bear interest at the rate of 6% per annum until paid. A discount of 2% shall be allowed on all taxes if paid prior to 30 days from the date tax bills are mailed. The taxes imposed herein shall be payable at City Hall, 515 South Main Street, Leitchfield, Kentucky, during regular business hours. C, that the collection of taxes, interest, and penalty shall be the duty of the city tax collector, who shall bill the taxes by mailing a statement to taxpayers. The city clerk treasurer is designated herein as the city tax collector. D, that for each calendar year, the assessment date for all property located within the corporate limits of Leitchfield, Kentucky, shall be January 1st, and the valuation of property subject to taxation shall be, insofar as it is applicable, the same assessed value is assessed by the Grayson County Property Valuation Administrator, who shall receive the fees provided by law for furnishing such assessments to the city. To the extent applicable, the assessments provided by the State Department of Revenue, the State Board of Evaluation and Assessment, and Railroad Commission shall be adopted by the city. Section 2A, there is hereby imposed on all financial institutions as defined in KRS Chapter 136 located within the corporate limits of the City of Leitchfield, Kentucky for the 2024 tax year, and all subsequent years a franchise tax at the rate of 0.025% on all deposits as defined by KRS Chapter 136, maintained by such financial institutions. B, the City of Leitchfield will issue tax bills to financial institutions no later than December 1st of each year. Payment of the tax shall be due with a 2% discount by December 31st of each year, or without discount by January 31st of each year. All taxes imposed by this section which are not paid before January 31st shall be deemed delinquent and shall be subject to a penalty of 6% and shall bear interest at the rate of 6% per annum. Section 3, the City of Leitchfield, Kentucky shall have a lien for taxes upon any and all property subject to the tax imposed by this ordinance, which lien shall be superior to all encumbrances prior or subsequent. B, all money collected pursuant to this ordinance shall be paid into the general fund of the city to be used for the payment of proper expenditures as determined by the city council. Section C, on or about April 1st of each year, the city clerk treasurer shall prepare a list of all outstanding unpaid tax bills within the city and shall promptly cause such list showing the name of each delinquent taxpayer, the number of the tax bill, and the amount due to be published in the newspaper having the largest circulation in the county. Said publication shall indicate that a fee in the sum of $5 for each time the delinquent list is published shall be added to the amount owed on each delinquent tax bill. The city clerk treasurer is hereby directed to send a copy of this ordinance to the Commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Revenue, Frankfort, Kentucky. Section 5, this ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law. And like Sabrina said, this is a first reading. We'll do a roll call vote at the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Earlene. Moving on, the approval of our regular meeting minutes from August 19th. Everyone has had access to those minutes since last week. Should have had a chance to look over those. If there are not any amendments or questions about that, we'll entertain a motion to.
I make a motion that we approve the regular meetings of last.
Okay. Clayton, motion by Clayton. Do I have a second? Second by Gina. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is approval and ratification of bills. This is the same process. Everyone on the council received those bills last week to look over. If there aren't any questions or concerns, I will entertain a motion in a second to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill.
Motion by
I'll
Billy,
second it.
second by Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next on the agenda is the E.E. McGee proclamation. If you guys remember, back a couple of weeks ago, they had I guess you'd call it a homecoming of sorts for Mr. McGee over at Grayson Manor. And I decided it would be a good thing that day to call that day Mr. E.E. McGee, Mr. Spirit Day. So this is basically just finishing up that proclamation. So
We'll just need a first and second, and all in favor, Mayor. We won't have to read either one of those
Okay.
two. That next one's a proclamation also.
okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that proclamation. Motion by Gina. Do I have a second? Second by Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is a proclamation for the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Daughters of the American Revolution is a non-political women's service organization established in 1890, whose members are lineally descended from patriots of the American Revolution. We had this discussion last meeting, and I'll try not to predict any dates this time, but we have had a couple of trees planted over near the Veterans Memorial that came from an original tree during the Revolution, and we've got two of those planted over there. If you get a chance, if you walk between the actual Veterans Memorial and the Vietnam Memorial up in the woods there, you can see those on either side of the track. And this is just something, they're having a program over there on the 14th of September. And I'm sure they would love for as many people as would to come out and experience that with them. So I'll entertain a motion to accept that proclamation.
So moved.
Motion by Billy. Do I have a second? Second by Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll move on to unfinished business. Billy?
Just the property over on Cave Mill Road that's supposed to be demolitioned. I think the time limit's up. We probably need to take legal action on what we need to do with the trailer in front of the house that's supposed to be demolition.
Okay.
There has been a letter hand-delivered to them, and this week is the deadline for that, so I expect Tyler will be discussing that further with them pretty soon.
That's all I got, Mayor.
Okay. Terry?
I thought you might want to give the public an update on the drainage issue on
Okay.
Cave Mill Road and the steps we've taken.
Okay. Where's Scotty? Scotty here? Okay. You want to give an update on that? You've been more involved with it than I have.
Sure. We've had some drainage problems out off of Cave Mill on Brumfield, and we got a civil engineer to come down and look at it and give us some suggestions and help us with what we might need to be doing down there. And so we followed through with the first part of it, and it's almost completed, probably will be completed tomorrow on re-ditching and re-draining around Mr. Frankie Harned's house and some of the others out in through there, try to alleviate the flooding that they've been having in their basements. And tomorrow, we're going to probably move on with that, hopefully finish up the first part of it and then move on to the second part. But it seems to be going real well, and everybody out there, that has needed to be done for a long time. And hopefully that will alleviate the flooding problems that those folks have been having out there in that area.
All right. Thank you, Scotty. Anything else, Terry?
That's all I have.
Tootie?
No, I don't have anything.
Clay?
No, sir.
Gina?
No, sir.
Danny?
No, sir.
Any of you guys over the table over there? Okay. We'll move on to new business. Billy, you have
No,
new
sir.
business? Terry?
No.
Tootie?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Gina? Danny?
I do. I had somebody approach me about something happened at the park, and this is kind of a attaboy award to Keith Pierce. I think the city's blessed to have such good employees. The lady got hurt. He went out of his way, took her home, helped her at the house. She made a point to tell me, and it's not just Keith. The city's got lots of really good employees, but when somebody goes out of their way to help citizens like that, I think we need to recognize them. So.
Amen.
The other one's a little bit different. I've got one more before I cut you off, Mayor. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I had a city employee suggest maybe working on the emblem, and I thought it was a pretty good suggestion. Maybe put a fiddle on the emblem. A lot of other towns, stuff like that, are famous for what they're famous for. But
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good idea, enough to maybe something the
Yeah, I
city
think-
council to consider.
I think that's a good idea, and we've talked about it some as a group, just sparingly, but maybe it's time to update our emblem and bring it a little more into the current days than in the past. Of course, we don't want to forget the Twin Lakes, but we're the only fiddling capital of Kentucky too, so that's something we can look at and hopefully maybe get some work started on it.
That's all. Thanks, Mayor.
Lori? Earlene?
No.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you. Real quickly, other business reminder, there will be a solid waste committee meeting on September 16th before the council meeting. The next chamber luncheon is Thursday, September 12th. Please let Lori know by noon on September 9th if you plan to attend. If you need to submit claims to McGregor, you have 90 days from July 1st to do so. The annual chamber dinner is Thursday, September 26th. Please let Lori know as soon as possible if you plan to attend. And the dedication of the Liberty Tree at the American Legion Veterans Memorial Park on Saturday, September 14th at 11 a.m. This ceremony is sponsored by Grayson Springs Chapter, National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. So September 14th at 11, and I'm certain they would be glad to have a crowd like this there that day. So. All right, so with that said, we'll move on to the reason you guys are here, and I want to say again, we do appreciate, more than you all know, of you being here, because when we talk about doing a project of this size, we want to know that we have the community support to do that. It's going to be a big project. It's going to be a long-term project, I think. I don't think it's going to happen in the next few months, but we do appreciate you guys coming out and letting us know how you feel about it. So I do have a list of speakers. Okay. We've got some people out in the lobby. I don't know, there's some chairs open here if they want to come on in.
Just open the doors up.
Or just prop the door open if you want to.
While we're waiting, can I say something real
Sure.
quick? I see a lot of kids here, and I just want to thank the parents and the caregivers for bringing our youth to these meetings so that they can see that their voices do matter and that hopefully they will someday use their voice for the good.
All right, so with that said, I've got a list here of people that want to speak, and we will give anyone that wants to the opportunity to speak, but we'll start with the list here. First up is probably the one that we're most interested in is Miss Brittany Clemens. She's got some,
Brittany's going to let me go first.
okay, well, your name wasn't on the list.
It wasn't, but they started with the shortest person, and they're going to work their way up.
All right, well, Denny's going to go first.
But, yeah, and we've got a little bit of PowerPoint presentation, but we started looking at doing something like for a rec center a couple years ago, and the Brittany Clemens and Tammy Salzman and I, we've been to a lot of different facilities around the state, and we kind of got fixated on the one in Muhlenberg County. We thought that was kind of one that probably meets our needs, in our opinion, and I want to say this is just a starting point. Nothing's written in stone. But we kind of liked the idea of that one. We went over and looked at it, we liked it, and then talked to the director of the program, and then come to find out that basically they got the plans from Warren County, and Warren County has built 2 of these same facilities. And so we talked to the director of Warren County's Park and Rec and got some information. So this is kind of how we came up with this facility. Again, nothing written in stone. This is just kind of a starting point. When we went around, I want to tell you some things that we kind of asked about and we saw it was going to be a problem. The first one was a pool. We really liked the idea of a pool, but everybody that had a pool tried to talk us out of the pool. And we got investigating, and the reason they said that the maintenance, the cost, the maintenance was extremely high. And then we checked into building it, and we're talking millions to build a pool like what we want. So that was kind of something we kind of eliminated fairly early on because of that. However, if there's if there's money that we can be generated for a pool, man, count me in. And in fact, when we build this, the ideal is to have possible expansions down the road for pool and maybe other facilities. So that was the first thing. The next one we thought about was like indoor soccer. Again, we kind of did a cost-benefit analysis. The cost was going to be extremely high for an indoor soccer facility. This facility will allow practicing soccer indoors, but it's not a field. So that was kind of marked that one off the list. The next thing we looked at was possibly tennis. Same situation. The cost was going to be fairly extensive. When you encounter that with a number of people that can be able to use it at one time, that was another one we marked off. But again, this is not set in stone. This is just our opinion. The next was, I think we looked at even doing a gym with weights. We kind of eliminate that because we have a gym here. We kind of thought maybe the best we could do was maybe like if you go to a hotel, like that kind of gym. Cardio, maybe hand weights, but since we already have a facility, I didn't think we needed that. You know, we've already got one. I think what also kind of pushed us to it, at one of the meetings, some of the docs said, you really need this. They recommended strongly that we have something like at least cardio fitness. But again, free weights, bench pressing, we just kind of eliminated that part. This facility we'll kind of talk about. Brittany's, again, helped me with the PowerPoint, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm an IT expert. So the people who are laughing, obviously, are the ones that know me.
Certified.
The facility in Muhlenberg County, this is, there's pictures of it here. Basically, it's 4 junior pro courts, and they're divided by nets that separate the courts. They have goals that come down, volleyball nets that come down. So you can have 4 junior pro games or 4 volleyball games at a time. You can also use it for pickleball, 2 courts. And when we went to Muhlenberg County, it was like 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and it was packed full of pickleball players. There was a few, I know it's hard to believe, but there was a few even older than I am that was playing pickleball. So we thought that was pretty interesting. Other things that can be used for is archery. They use it for archery down there. We like the idea of having an indoor walking track elevated above the court. When we were down there were some people walking, but it was around the basketball, volleyball courts, and there was a lot of interaction. And I went to a facility in Tennessee, and they had an elevated walking track, and I thought, man, this is the way to go. So that was kind of my ideal, but anyway, we'll see. Muhlenberg County also had a lot of, as far as inside classroom area, I think it's about 47,000 square feet, wasn't it, Brittany? Something like that, ballpark it. We thought we needed to add maybe 2 or 3 more thousand square feet for more areas for classroom and meeting rooms. In fact, there was some thought of maybe we could even have trade shows while the gym was being used. Maybe section off half of it. You could have, I know Cave City has a lot of knife shows and stuff like that, but that was a thought for a little bit of expansion. And Brittany's going to be talking about what can be used as far as the classroom facility. They had an indoor batting cages. If you see the pictures, when I walked up, the pictures are from they have just a second floor area, and I have no, Tammy, you have any idea how many square feet it was? It wasn't that big.
It wasn't very big enough for one person to bat at a time. They said they wish they wouldn't have put it up there. That was their last.
Yeah, and I remember them saying they had to put it at a certain level. If they put it up higher, they had to get elevators, so they just had stairs for it. But they had batting cages up there. They also had an idea of maybe using it for golf, you know, but that's kind of where we come up with the ideal and kind of what we liked. Again, I'd like to hear from your all's opinion on it, but we put down some of the proposed things that can be used for it.
Did their elevated walking track have an elevator to get to it?
They did at this one. And there's, if I remember right, though, again, at Muhlenberg, I think it depends on the height of it before you have to have an elevator. But if you're dealing with older people, that would be pretty important. But
Sure.
then the cost of an elevator makes a big difference too on it. Again, proposed activities, we got use. What was that movie, The Utes? My Cousin Vinny. We got adults, seniors. We like the ideal. They had a lot of leagues up there. This is again in Muhlenberg County, but they had leagues for pickleball, basketball, seniors, and a lot of junior pros stuff. And I think Leitchfield may be taking over the junior pro program or helping with it, but that's possible. This would be a perfect facility. I had 3 kids. You can tell by my size that they didn't play basketball that well, but they were good in soccer. But we had 3 kids, and it was my wife and I had to go to a different soccer field, and you parents that have multiple kids, you probably experience the same thing. It was just, you were just busing from one to the other. But this will allow us to have one facility where everybody can participate as far as the junior pro. Again, the adult leagues, and Tammy, I think when we, at Muhlenberg County, they made a point to make sure that one of the gyms was available at all time, that anybody could walk in and use it. They also, again, had it lined off for pickleball. I went back the second time, and before they had just had one per court, but they had changed it where they had 2 per court. So you could actually have 8 pickleball at one time, which brings up this. I think it would be a good facility to have. Their biggest thing was using it. They generated money by having people come in and rent the whole facility. They used it for junior pro. They'll be talking about it later on. I think Brittany will, but sports tourism. I didn't know anything about this until I had a son that played travel soccer, but it's really boomed, and this is just it's here. And Muhlenberg County, when we went the first time, they said they were booked up the entire year. The biggest thing that kept them from booking more was hotel rooms. That was interesting. Warren County, when I talked to their rec director, same situation. They were going over a year in advance, booking every weekend for tournaments, volleyball, basketball, and now pickleball too. So, and I think it's something we'll have to look at to help generate revenue to offset the expenses from it. But that I covered. The next one's more of a Brittany's line. She'll be speaking about that, but we've had influence from, or talk from the hospital, health department, other people that would like to use it for classrooms, for educational purposes. Hopefully Dr. Lee can enlighten us too. From the health department, they expressed interest in doing stuff like that, using it for that type of activity. So again, Brittany will talk more about that. Before everybody faints, this is initial investment. We were lucky enough and grateful that the Hospital Foundation was able to donate 10 acres of land, 10.5 acres across from the Aquatic Center. I think that's a perfect location for it. And they charged, I think it was like $1 to the city. The catch of it is we got to start on a rec center by August of 2026. We can ask for more time if we can show we're making progress. But that was a great gift. I mean, you're talking, Gina probably knows more since she does real estate, but in town, 10 acres in town is going to be extensive. The construction cost, we were able to get T&T Construction to spend a whole day going down there and going through it. Thank you, Tommy, to give us an idea of what we could expect as far as cost on it. 8 to 10 million was what their estimates were. 10 was at the highest end, he thought, or I should say they thought. This is the part that really is frustrating. Muhlenberg County built the same complex that we liked. They completed in 2019, started doing stuff in 2020. Their website said $4 million, but they told me $4.5 million. But regardless, in 5 years it's doubled. COVID, I'm sure, was the biggest driver on that. But that's give you an idea of what we're looking at as far as the cost. Brittany's done a lot of research, and Tammy's done a lot of research on the equipment to give us an idea of what we're looking at for that. It's approximately $1 million. Again, Warren County I talked to their director, super nice guy. He let me ramble on for hours and ask questions of him. And I told him what we were looking for and the cost, what we expect. He said for 8 to 10 million, he thought we could build a state-of-the-art facility. But again, he'd built 2 before COVID, but he thought we were in good shape. Again, T&T feel pretty confident with their numbers. I also talked with a competitor that I won't name names, T&T, but they thought that was realistic too. So we think we're looking at real figures. We're not just throwing out figures as far as the cost. So that kind of gives you an idea. Next, we got one over there. But that gives you an idea of the cost on it. This is the operation cost. We tried to estimate everything above. When we talked to Warren County, we went over these figures with them, and they said, you're probably high. Same with Muhlenberg County, we thought we were high, but we want to be realistic about it. So we're estimating $360,000 for a yearly cost to do it. That's, what was the staff, 2 full-time employees, 4 part-time employees, utilities, everything we could think of, and with their help, we put down. So that's our estimate of operations cost. Revenues, we had no idea of estimating what revenues could be generated. We just went with what Warren County and Muhlenberg County. I was amazed that they netted $50,000 a year in concessions at Muhlenberg County. Warren County did theirs a little bit different. They have lots of money in Warren County, but they actually contracted their concessions out. They made quite a bit on the contracting it out, but it's probably a different animal than we could do, but maybe not. The revenues was from tournaments that we figured we could generate, about $70,000. Muhlenberg County charges, I think it was $25 a court. You use all 4 courts. The tournaments last 8 to 9 hours, something like that. And some of you guys that do travel ball, you have a better idea of this than me. Jody may have an idea. I know you do baseball stuff. I don't know if you do basketball and volleyball, but anyway, we just made that as an estimate of $70,000 based on travel ball, and travel volleyball, and even pickleball tournaments if they want to be hosted here. We didn't have any idea to estimate how much we could generate as far as renting the facility, like through the week, birthdays, maybe the hospital. I'm sure, like, Ashley would want to rent it permanently. But we just had no way of knowing how much we could generate from other sources, from the classrooms and through the week. But we kind of underestimated, we think, the revenues. But as you can see, there's going to be a significant, loss. But it's the same with the aquatic center. They have a significant loss. They get help from other sources, and us too. We expect to do the same thing. And if anybody else has got any ideas about generating revenues, well, again, this is all preliminary. This is step 1, but your all thoughts would be greatly appreciated. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Denny. Brittany?
I'm Brittany Clemens, the Executive Director with the Grayson County Healthcare Foundation. And our mission at the Healthcare Foundation is to preserve and enhance long-term health and wellness through the support and advocacy of programs, institutions, and facilities that improve health. The Board of Directors of the Foundation believes having a recreation center in Leitchfield will help us achieve that mission. According to data, the most recent data from the United States Diabetes Surveillance System, 44% of Grayson County adults are obese, meaning they have a BMI of 30 or higher, which is huge. That's almost half of the adults in this county. And that's compared to a state rate of 35% and a national rate of 30%. In 2022, the obesity rate for Kentucky children ages 10 to 17 was 24%, which is one of the highest in the nation. Additionally, only 21% of Grayson Countyans reported they had access to exercise opportunities, according to County Health Rankings data for 2022. In addition to data from those sources, I think it's important to point out the perceptions of those in our own community. The most recent Community Health Needs Assessment conducted by Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center in 2021 identified obesity and physical inactivity as one of 4 priority health needs for our community. These results were identified through survey responses from over 1,100 county residents, as well as focus groups of individuals from Grayson County. We know that obesity and lack of physical activity are major contributing factors to multiple health issues, including, but obviously not limited to, diabetes and cardiovascular disease. The data is compelling and validates a need for more exercise and health education opportunities in this community. The Healthcare Foundation sees a recreation center as an opportunity to invest in the health of our community members. There are multiple possibilities for programs that can be offered to the community for all ages. I think it's important that we point out youth and seniors because we have more limited opportunities for those groups, as well as adults. And Denny talked about some of those. I think health education is really important to us as well. Multiple community partners have already agreed to assist with programming for physical activity and health education, and those include the Grayson County Health Department, Extension, and then Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center. And because a recreation center is seen as such a valuable asset for our community, the Grayson County Healthcare Foundation has already agreed to donate the 10.4 acres across from the ECTC Leitchfield campus as the site for the center. But the foundation is also prepared to make a significant financial contribution to the project. At this point, that's not set in stone, so I can't share exactly what that number is, but I will say it's very significant. We are hopeful that this project can actually come to fruition. We think it's going to benefit our community for years to come, and the board is very supportive of it. So from the Healthcare Foundation, we're going to do everything we can to make it happen.
Thank you, Brittany.
Any questions for me?
Appreciate it.
If I couldn't, Mayor, can I say one thing? We all really need to give Brittany another round. You will not believe the stuff that she's done on this project, the places she's been, and the hours she's put in is just phenomenal, even if she will not tell us the exact amount that the foundation will kick in. Thanks, Brittany.
She has worked tirelessly on this since I've been in office, so kudos to Brittany. Next up is Senator Steve Meredith.
Excuse me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to be here. It's kind of like deja vu for me, and I guess I'm showing my age. And we've been here before. Tootie and Clayton will well remember when we were in high school, we had a group, Grayson County JCs, which no longer exist, and they thought we needed something for our young people in our community, and they got this idea we would build a building. Everybody would buy a building block, and
Yes.
we would accomplish it. Well, it started off great, but ended very poorly.
Yes.
And then back in the 80s, Terry Bennell, who was the then president of Leitchfield Deposit Bank, tried to get us a YMCA in Leitchfield and Grayson County. Again, great enthusiasm beginning, but then that failed. I think it was around 2010, our hospital tried the same thing, a healthplex with a Olympic-sized swimming pool, with handball courts, a walking track, elevated walking track, basketball courts, pretty much a full complement of services you expect in that kind of center. Plus, we were going to have our rehab services there as well. So the challenge is always how to handle the operational expense of this, but our plan was, even though the hospital would own the building, is we would lease that space from ourselves to help pay for the operating cost of it. At that time, that project was $8 million. We got commitments for $6 million. We were $2 million short. I convinced the hospital board that we needed to borrow $1 million to finish it out. We asked the city of Leitchfield to borrow $1 million, and they said, no, we're not interested. So here we are almost 2 decades later.
Yeah.
So I want to speak about the economic impact of this, because it is quite similar to what happens in the hospital environment. When I became CEO in 1983, we had 7 doctors on our medical staff. Dr. Lee being one of those. I'm very proud of that. But at that time, we were losing quite a bit of reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid because that program became cost prohibitive. And we understood we had to grow our revenue faster than the reimbursement cuts that were coming. And we couldn't do it with 7 physicians. So we changed our mission, changed our vision, tried to become a regional medical center. And I can tell you, that was met with a little bit of resistance as well. Matter of fact, 4 years into my tenure as hospital CEO, I got a 17-page letter from the chairman of the board who said, we're not interested in the grandiose expansion plans our hospital administrator has for our small rural hospital. We're quite content being small, rural, and fiscally sound. And I guarantee you, if that had been our philosophy, probably the hospital wouldn't be in existence today. it couldn't be. But I had some great board members who had courage and convictions and understood how important it was for the community. And as a result of that, we changed our focus, changed our vision, and at Zenith, we had 34 active medical staff doctors. When we started, we had a little over 100 employees at the hospital. At Zenith, we had over 500. Our consulting staff grew from a couple of dozen doctors to well over 100. Our physical plant grew from 56,000 square feet to over 300,000 square feet. Now, that's just on the healthcare side, and people don't realize that for every doctor that you recruit, it creates 70 jobs within your community. So you can imagine what the true economic impact has been on this community for that. But you can also imagine what would happen if we had done nothing. But the same situation exists with trying to recruit industry to Grayson County. Now, the challenge of recruiting physicians is they can go anywhere in the world. Well, I'll tell you it's the same way with industrial prospects as well. You have to ask yourself, why would they choose Leitchfield and Grayson County? We've got to add something special. Again, being center of the 5th district, my district is Meade, Breckenridge, Grayson, Butler, and Ohio counties. Probably Meade County has seen the greatest economic growth with a new core plant that was developed. And I have learned that when they were looking at potential sites, they needed about 1,000 acres for their facility. And the Brandenburg site was too small. It was like 600-700 acres. But they made that decision primarily based upon the college and career center that community had built for their community. They were impressed with their community's commitment to their young people. And the same with this. This will pay great dividends for us, it should, and be something to help attract industry. Brittany talked a little bit about the cost of health care, which is a big expense for the business community and a great challenge for us. We're spending $13,000 per capita in the United States on health care. The next closest country is Germany at $8,500. China only spends $875 per capita. We can't be competitive in an international market if we're going to continue to have that kind of disparity in healthcare cost. We've got to get our population healthier. Another reason I had an interest in doing the Healthplex many years ago is we had a lot of hallways in the hospital. And I noticed we had a lot of people who were coming there at nights and weekends to walk the hallways because they had no other place to go, but they wanted to get their exercise in. We've got to have a healthier community, and with doing that, it'll save our business community millions and millions of dollars, literally, as well as our state, which we can use for other purposes. And certainly give our children new opportunities here. I'm tickled to death to see Coach Sherry Brooks Vincent here. I think she's the greatest coach in the history of Grayson County, and what she's done to young people is phenomenal. But give that program in particular some additional assets to promote it even more is another great asset for our community. We never take the time to measure the cost of doing nothing. And if we did, we realize it's astronomical. And that's something I would encourage you to do this evening. Think about what happens if you don't do this. We don't do this as a community. We'll stay where we are. Now, some people are quite content on saying, we don't want things to change. Change happens, whether we like it or not. But what you want to do is control that change, not let it happen just haphazardly, which we've seen over the years. I would hope that you folks would have a vision for our community to truly help our young people, to improve the quality of health in this community, to help us recruit jobs to Grayson County. This last budget session we had, we were able to get a $10 million appropriation for hopefully a new industrial park. Now, some people say, well, how are we going to get employees because we're short as it is? We grow our community from the outside. That helps not only the industrial community, but also the hospital and all our healthcare facilities. We bring people to Grayson County to live. So we've got to have that vision for the future. We've got to support it. If we don't, communities are living organisms. You either grow or you die. And I think everybody has to admit, look, we've kind of hit a stalemate of late. We need to grow if we're going to see this community and our citizens prosper. We have a lot of responsibilities as elected officials, but I think one of the primary responsibilities is improving the quality of life of the people we serve. And here's an opportunity, a great opportunity to do that. And I'm convinced that this project will pay for itself time and time again if we will give it that chance. So I hope you folks will find the courage and conviction to support this program, and it'll make Grayson County and Leitchfield a better place to live. Thank you for hearing me out this evening.
Thank you, Steve.
I'm sorry, Mayor, if I could. Senator, could I put you on the spot before you leave? Do you think you have any chance of maybe getting some state funding for this in the next budget? State funding, next budget. Is it possible?
Just say yes.
Just say yes. We all want to hear yes.
I'd prefer to give you an unequivocal maybe. I'm optimistic. Of course, Representative Heffernan is here as well, and we have to do this as a team. You know, with the budget cycle, it's not as simple as folks think it is. There's a lot of demands, but we start in the House, and we make appropriation request. It comes over to the Senate, and we massage the numbers and make changes to it, and then it goes back to the House for concurrence. So I really value her as a teammate in the House of Representatives, and I'm confident that probably we can get some funding for this, particularly if our state budget continues to be as solid as it has been. You know, this last session, probably the best budget we had in the history of this state because we had a lot of money in our savings account, which we call the rainy day fund. We're seeing that growth yet again, so we'll set money aside for that, and the intent is to build a better community. So again, I think we can. The reason I won't say 100% is I don't know what needs are out there. Because I guarantee you, every other community in Kentucky is wanting to do exactly what you folks are considering tonight. I'm not talking necessarily about a healthplex or a recreation center, but something to improve the quality of the community. But I guarantee you that we will give our best effort to try to get some funding for this project.
Does it help that you and our representative are in the majority and also have seniority?
It doesn't hurt, believe me.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Samara, I haven't spotted her yet. There she is. I've been looking. State Representative Samara Everett.
Thank you, Council. As the mayor said, I'm Samara Heffernan. I'm the 18th District State Representative, but I'm here tonight as a resident on Mulberry Street. I do have some notes, so forgive me. I like to stay on track because I think these things are very important. As I look around the room, I see so many young residents of our community here. You've got Carter Whitmore, Carter and Emma Smith, Roger and Sanding Pierce, Carter and Ben Bernard, Kendall Stasel, the Clemens kids, and so many other kids. And as we make these decisions, we must keep them in mind, the kids, our future, when we're making these big pivotal decisions for our community. I stand tonight in support of a recreational center in the city of Leitchfield. While I do have some more in-depth questions about some of the details shared tonight, I do think it's an important step for our community to take. I do hope that you'll reconsider the tennis court decision, as we have one of the best tennis programs in the state and a program that has been to the state tournament more than any other sports team in Grayson County High School. If someone can correct me, I will take that now, but if not, that's the facts. Coach Vincent is here tonight, and she actually just won Coach of the Year this year. And so yes, big round of applause. And so as we do this, if you all have not been to the tennis courts, go out and see. I have so many kiddos in my life that are in the tennis program. My best friend was in the tennis program in high school, Devin. And I think it's so important to see that the community they make and the skills that Coach is teaching them, because those are skills that we need for employees someday and for people to grow our community for future leaders. So if you've not been to the tennis courts or know someone in the program, go talk to them, because they're here tonight. And I know that was really, that was hard for, and Denny, I know you said this is this is not the final product. We still have room for negotiations. But they came tonight, and I think it says a lot for a whole group to come, especially kiddos, to come and show the support of the program. So I would just encourage you all with that. If you all could have like an ad hoc committee, anything like that, a survey, just to make sure that we get the right sports in this facility, to make sure that our bases are covered. The big reason I'm also here is more opportunities for youth is always a priority of mine. As the chair of families and children, I hear all the time that kids need community, especially working with foster care and kinship care kids. kids thrive when they have a strong community around them. And actually, statistics show that kids that participate in activities are actually more successful later in life. The more opportunities for youth to be involved in recreational sports and activities is a win for our future generations here in Grayson County and Leitchfield. These activities can help with physical health, mental health, and even keep them from getting out of trouble, which I believe that every one of us as elected officials have heard. How do we keep kids busy? And I think one thing sometimes we don't bring to light enough is the mental health in our young kids. There's a lot of suicidal ideation among young kids right now, and what can we do to help that with their mental health? And that's getting them involved in sports and activities and having it right here in the backyard. And so as we move forward in growing Grayson County and Leitchfield, it's important to look at amenities that are offered here to our residents. Our goal is not only to grow our population, but also to keep people here too. I believe that this will be a great investment for the future health and well-being of our community, but most importantly, our kids, which is the future of Grayson County. Thank you.
Thank you, Samara. Next up, we have Mrs. Ashley Harrington with Twin Lakes, Owensboro Twin Lakes. I still can't get used to saying that.
Good evening. Our mission at Owensboro Health Twin Lakes is twofold, and many of you probably think about the first part of our mission when you think of us, and that's healing the sick. But the second part of our mission is actually improving the health of the communities we serve. And we do that through our strong community partners, and we see the Recreation Center as a true opportunity to partner to improve the health of Grayson County. As plans for the center really take shape, a few of the things that we see that we can be a partner on is clinical outreach and educational programs. I think those are two really important opportunities for us. But ultimately, we see this just as a game changer for the health of Grayson County. So we fully support this and endorse this project. We also see exciting opportunities for us in terms of providing support and providing resources as we plan the future of the center. At Owensboro Health Twin Lakes, we are honored to serve our patients. We're honored to serve the health of the community, but that's not all that we want to do. We want to be able to partner on projects such as this to really improve the health of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Can I ask you a question? You want to ask for me, didn't you?
You think Owensboro Health, I know I've talked with Mr. Marsh, and he's assured me that they want to be a big partner with this, and that means in a lot of different areas, including financial, and then you feel that's a realistic expectation that we would have?
I do think it's a realistic expectation for financial support. Obviously, at this point,
Sure.
I can't commit to any dollar amount, but I do think it's a realistic expectation.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Next to speak, we have Kendall Embry.
Good evening. My name is Kendall Stasel, and I'm an 8th grade student at Grayson County Middle School. Throughout my student career, I participated in many sports over the years to include recreational soccer, recreational softball, competitive cheer, travel softball, middle school cheer, middle school softball, and middle school volleyball. I'm here today to share the numerous reasons the youth of Grayson County could benefit from a recreational center such as one being brought before you today. One way the youth in the community could benefit from this facility is by having additional places to practice and become better at their chosen sport. One example I will share is my experience with volleyball. Last year was my first year playing volleyball. Learning a new sport can be challenging, so my mom went looking for someone who could provide private lessons for me outside of practice. Although we were unable to find several retired volleyball players willing to do this, the issue was always finding gym space that had volleyball nets available. Our schools offer a variety of sports for our students, which means oftentimes they overlap in finding a gym available, which is very challenging. This also creates a barrier for students who need an opportunity to practice a certain skill they may need to improve on to be confident and ready to try out for middle school or high school sports. This is especially an issue in the colder months when practicing outside isn't an option. Overall, our community is lacking indoor recreation space available to anyone and everyone. Another opportunity I see with a recreational center is the opportunity for newly created sports leagues for kids. So often when students try out for school sports and they don't make the team, they become embarrassed and give up. If we had a recreation center that offered sports leagues, it would give students another option. This would allow them to learn the skill it takes to play their chosen sport and help them gain confidence, keeping them physically active despite not making a school team, while also ensuring their mental health isn't affected by constantly feeling defeated. Lastly, a recreation center could provide opportunities for students to engage in health education. I'm sure most of you have heard of our community's newest fitness pal, Fit Fiddle. This facility could also allow for endless opportunities for not only sports, but to use Fit Fiddle and other initiatives to host fitness challenges, youth health fairs, friendly competitions, and so much more. According to the CDC, based on 2022 data, Kentucky ranks 9th out of all the 50 states for highest rates of obesity. Change starts with our youth by educating and using preventative measures. This recreation center is an opportunity to create change that in years to come would lead to a healthier Grayson County. In conclusion, on behalf of all student athletes, I am asking all of you as leaders of our city to make an investment in our youth by committing to this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Next up is Mr. Daniel Decker. Daniel works with our junior pro basketball program in the county.
Yes, my name is Daniel Decker. I am the director of our junior pro basketball program in the county. You know, I heard the mayor, when we started off this meeting, ask that we're basically here today to see if this would be something that the community supports. And for me, in my personal experience, I don't think that's anything that you would have to worry about. I know a lot of times us as adults, we always say, you know, sports aren't really that important in the grand scheme of life. But really the fact is, in America, sports are a big part of who we are and what we do. I can say through my travels, I've gone to a lot of the places in Bowling Green and Muhlenberg. These places are booming. They are big crowd gatherers. Sports is, you know, it's about the youth, but to some people it's become big business across America. People want stuff for their kids and they go to these events. I find Grayson County to be in a good location. You have a big city of Elizabethtown above us, Bowling Green below us. You have Owensboro not too far. So it's like the old expression, if you build it, they're going to come. Before COVID hit, I would have at the middle school basketball leagues for travel/school teams that wanted to play. Kids who weren't playing baseball at the time from other schools. I know I had Ohio County come in. I had Breckenridge County. I had Kenneth Fareed's Manimal Elite sponsored team that he did. So you all, I know you all done stuff in baseball. People are going to come to this. For the youth, big aspect of it, one of my biggest frustrations, and not a lot of people know this because I don't really go around advertising it, but one of my biggest frustrations is not being able to get kids that want to get in a gym to be able to go to a gym, because unless you know somebody that has a hookup, for me, I'm able to use the middle school. I have a great relationship with them through junior pro basketball. So GCMS has always allowed me to take some kids and work with them and try to train them. Not that I'm the best at it or the right person to do it, but I think if you ask anybody whose kids came through me, that they would tell you that I do an adequate enough job. But I do it, and I don't charge anything for it. I do it because I feel like there's so many kids that want to have an opportunity to get into a gym that don't know how. But the thing for me is I also believe that kids deserve individual attention. And so unfortunately, I have to limit the amount of kids that I can take, and have had to turn kids away. If you have a sports facility and complex, you don't have to do that, because with the school, there's only so many days and so many hours that I can get into a gym to book that. You know, I know Butler County right now has 2 Division I basketball players. I know, being from Grayson County, I shouldn't say this, but if they don't win region this year again, something obviously went wrong. I'm not saying getting all these kids the opportunity to get better is going to make them D1 basketball players. But right now, if you really care about the Grayson County as a basketball program, what I can tell you is under the current infrastructure, those kids are only going to be as good as people they know that can help them out, or just what they are working in their driveway at home, which, like Kendall, who just said is up here, sometimes it's too cold or it's too hot to do that. So having a facility kind of alleviates a lot of that stuff. It does help the junior pro basketball program as well as the schools, because more and more sports pop up. I know like soccer wasn't a thing. I don't think it was a school sport when I was growing up here, but it is now. And you got all these people fighting for the gym between volleyball, boys and girls basketball, archery, orchestra, any awards things like they're having at the schools, whatever it is. Even if it's football or something, it's too hot to practice outside. You know, sometimes they'll go inside. So if you've got a facility for extra space, it helps the schools out. It helps, like for me, trying to book stuff for junior pro. I have a great relationship with the school administration, but you know, it is difficult trying to provide this service and being like, okay, well, what schools are we going to have game days at and which days? And then we have practice through the week. So just the extra space is going to mean the world. So that's kind of my take on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, could I ask you some questions about, I have no idea, how many people go to these tournaments? Like, I mean, are you talking hundreds?
Number, but they are packed. You know, I've seen it so packed that we're like, not that there's a big seating area, but a lot of people are standing because, you know, the bleachers are so packed.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny, 30 teams at Greenville a weekend,
30?
so multiply that times 10 on the team plus the parents, family.
Yeah.
Daniel, does the school board help you out in any way?
In what way?
Facilities, other than letting you use the middle school? I mean, are they talking about growing your youth program, or are they talking about?
What we try to do, like, let's say, I know middle school 1 year was under construction. We'll use some of the other schools. Like, we usually use at least 2 to 3 gyms every given Saturday. And if something's going on, hopefully that next gym, let's say we're using maybe Lawler, Caneyville, GCMS, maybe, you know, Josh Basham has something going on, like Daniel, you can't use Caneyville this weekend, hopefully Clarkson. The schools are pretty accommodating, but again, it's, you know, it can be tough because there's a lot going on.
So do they help out with your junior pro program in any way?
Not besides providing the facilities, no. It's pretty much been all me through the past, which, like he mentioned earlier, Harold's offered to help me out a lot this year. It just makes sense for me because it is a big program that has about 350 to 400 kids any given year. It's tough for that all to fall on my shoulders, so I take any help that I can get.
Thank you.
One thing about travel ball, though, to point out, when you guys go, when you travel west, you go to the restaurants, you shop, and that's why, you know, you can show a deficit. We're going to have a deficit, but we get it on other areas, too, that you don't ever see. When they host a big tournament like that, the restaurant tax is going to go up because you're going to eat here. Yeah. Wes, would you like to say something?
No, well, I was going to say, they come across the state, too, so hotels.
Right.
We've gone to Murray to play the state weekend, so it's tourism galore. I mean, we all benefit from it.
And that might,
Y'all don't know who I am, but we went and played the tournament in St. Louis this past year with our travel ball team. And I think there were, 150 teams. Now, this is a huge tournament, right? But I kind of figured out, they say $350,000, $400,000 for a weekend, one weekend. You know, where you get the money at is you charge per team. The fees to get in are ridiculous, but we pay them because we want to see our kids play. You know, so all this money, just a small tournament, 4 courts. I mean, you can generate a lot of money.
Even in admission as well, not just the tournament fees, charging people, I've seen places, you know, $10, $15, $20 for a weekend pass. Like he said, you know, they've already paid to see their kids play. They're going to pay.
and that's what, I guess I didn't bring up much, but Steve did a little bit on economic development. If people are coming here, they're gonna spend money here. The other thing that could help maybe generate another hotel. when you can tell people that, you're a good chance you're going to be full almost every weekend if we have a tournament, I think that would help drive a hotel. When I talked to Muhlenberg County, the director, I said, look, we're kind of going to compete with you if we ever get this going. And he said, no problem. He said, there's enough for everybody. He said, we're short. He said, his biggest drawback was hotel room. And that's in Muhlenberg when they have few hotels, a lot more than we do. So I guess the point I want to make is this is going to be an economic driver in addition just for, our kids need something to do. It's more than that. It hits on a lot of different areas. So I talk all the time. I'm sorry.
All right, next up, Dr. Joe Lee.
I wanted to thank you for inviting me, and what I'm going to say has mostly been said. Dr. Joe Lee, I'm the medical director at the health department, but I was in pediatrics here for 44 years, so my main interest is kids. And we have a huge problem in our county, both in children and adults with obesity or overweight issues. I wasn't aware the number was quite as high as was mentioned earlier, that was maybe close to 40%. But nationwide, in children, it's about 20% to 25% that have a BMI greater than the 95th percentile. Now, why do we even worry about this? Overweight contributes to a lot of health problems. Heart disease is higher, high blood pressure, diabetes is a bigger problem when you're overweight, high cholesterol, mobility problems, problems with joints, and sadly, early death is a problem. The U.S. Preventative Health Services Task Force made recommendations this summer, because this was such an issue, for children and adolescents with a high BMI. It recommended that they be referred for 26 hours of intensive counseling and supervised activity to help improve their eating and activity patterns. It was like this center that we're talking about was modeled for this program. I mean, it's the ideal setting that we could utilize to help our community set that type of situation up, where we could help to educate, monitor activity, and educate parents. This is not just a child problem, but many times the parents are in the same situation. This center will provide an indoor location for adults and children to encourage them to remain active year-round. It would have indoor courts. I mean, we've seen the pictures of what they've done in Muhlenberg, but what we've got proposed for this center. For basketball, junior pro, which we just heard about, both games and for tournaments, out-of-town people, volleyball tournaments, indoor walking track, pickleball courts, gymnastics, cheerleading competitions, yoga, aerobic workouts, dance groups. I mean, you can think of all kinds of things. I had put soccer, but that may not be a possibility, but we can see. I'm a little biased about soccer.
So am I.
It would have classrooms where we could have group instruction to instruct on diet counseling, instruct on exercise, instruct parents on problems they might be having with their kids. My suggestion, and I don't know whether this may have been mentioned in one of the slides, perhaps after-school activity for kids whose parents are at work. We would hope that that would be an availability. It was mentioned for senior citizens, but having educational opportunities and workout opportunities for senior citizens. That's exclusively for them. Activity programs for children and adults with disabilities who may not be having their needs met. As we've seen, there's a lot of community groups involved in this and that would continue to stay involved with this. The center would work in cooperation with these, in consultation and cooperation with the Grayson County Healthcare Foundation, the City Council, Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Hospital, the local physicians, we want them to be involved. Grayson County Health Department, we are committed to helping with this. Grayson County Schools, the local physical therapy groups, and hopefully a nutritionist that we can recruit to assure that we're meeting all the needs of the community. It's financially, of course, you've heard the arguments for the financial, but I really think that there is a health need that this center will meet. And I would encourage you to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Dr. Next up is Mr. George Meredith.
So we got one more entity that we would like to include in that, and that would be Grayson County Physical Court. Mr. Anderson.
All right, I'm the dumber Meredith here after Steve, but I wanted to kind of represent, I guess, the senior group and all our pickleball players. We'd like to start by thanking you for our outdoor courts. They are well used and well loved. We're out there in droves. I think Sunday night, I counted 35 people there, 16 playing and about that many waiting to play. And this center would give us a place and an opportunity to play year-round. The Rock, the Methodist Church, and St. Joseph's Parish Center allow us to play there a couple of nights a week, but we're very limited in the space. And we have one court at St. Joe's and two courts at the Rock, and they're packed out every time we play there too. It's just given us an opportunity to meet all kinds of people that live on the lake, that come to play. We've met all kinds of cool people and connected. Even an old guy like me, it gives me something to do rather than sit on the couch and watch TV, to get out and go play pickleball. I'm one of those obese people that I've lost several pounds in the last 9 months that I've been playing, and met so many great people. And we would like to continue this in this facility. I think would be ideal for us too. And the kids. We interact with so many young people who come to the pickleball courts, and we welcome them all in, work them in the games, and we've met all kinds of cool kids out there, and they seem to love the sport too. Fastest growing sport in America. We have 500 people in our Facebook group, 500 plus, and 150 in our thing called Team Reach, which is the way we get in touch with each other. So it's blowing up, and thank you for what you've done for us, and hopefully what you can do for us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Next, we'll ask Mr. Tim Bocock to come forward.
Good evening, everybody. It's hard to improve upon the things that have been said, so I'll be very brief. Guys, we lost about 2,800 jobs back in 2008, and we haven't in any significant way replaced those jobs. They were pretty well paid back then, semi-skilled, and we just haven't put those back in place. So what I'm hoping this will do is create a virtuous cycle. not only is there a need for this, there is a community hunger for recreation, as evidenced by the pickleball community, and it is a community. Hopefully, we can keep some of our best and brightest. We can keep some of those people that decide to be entrepreneurs right here in our community. We will be attractive to our employers. And with some creativity, from what I'm hearing, I think we can be closer to revenue neutral. So those things are all good things. And what Steve Meredith had mentioned, the opportunity cost of saying no is so great. We will never have this opportunity at this moment in time that we have now. If we'd done it 5 years ago, we could have saved $4 or $5 million. If we wait another 5 or 10 years, we will lose another 5 or 10 million. Now is the time. The community hunger is there. The community support is here. With corporate sponsorships and some creative marketing, we can get there.
Thank you, Tim. Ms. Neely Hornbeck. And Ms. Sherry.
Hi.
Aye.
Well, first of all, thank you, and a shout out to this new council here and the coming ranks of a new mayor. This is well deserved and well past due. So many people are standing there. I felt I needed, first of all, the shout outs from the representatives. I did not plan being here. I did not tell anybody I was going to be here, but I have served on a committee approximately about 10 years ago, and we traveled the state, and I was in many of people's homes that's standing here today. I want to share with you that I'm a retired health educator and physical educator and serving 38 years in our tennis community. Even though that's been my passion, I'm a multi-student athlete, and I have embraced the pickleball group and accept their challenges as well. But I was afraid to leave here tonight and underserve my tennis community. Foremost, I'm not know that you guys are aware of the miles that you've gotten out of tennis kids here traveling the state. And they too travel and play tournaments. 48 kids from this community has had a tennis scholarship. So as I come here tonight, because I have shared some plans of my committee's work in the past, there is opportunity for revenue with tennis if you would reconsider actually even putting in a couple courts. Because you can even have futsal, these posts come up and they're multi-purpose courts. So I don't want to leave here and not challenge you to please visit with me and look at the opportunities. We have 2 master teaching instructors that have recently sold 2 facilities in Louisville, and they're here teaching our kids. They have moved to our lake. They can run all kinds of tennis programs. We are adopted by the United States Tennis Association. So I do believe that our tennis community has and will provide you some opportunities for revenue. With tournaments in-house and in community, my players go to these communities, just like what you have heard, from basketball, baseball opportunities. They too travel to compete to ensure they are getting quality representation, but for their growth and development, just learning to compete. I don't want to just be known for tennis, but that's been my passion. I played 3 sports in college. I'm not opposed to soccer. Futsal could be, we did it in gym all the time. There's so many more opportunities that I don't want you to limit, but first of all, don't forget the youth. There's adults here, but don't forget what we're about.
Amen.
I was taught health. I had statistics to bring up here, but it's been well described and well illustrated tonight. But I didn't want to leave here not taught because I have tennis kids here. And I'm the model for those kids. So they didn't know I was coming. I didn't tell anybody I was coming, but thanks for the shout out from our state representatives. And I'm going to turn it over to Nilly.
Just bouncing right off what she said, these two people that have come in and helped our community and helped our team, they're really inspiring, you know, on all the kids on the team to get out and play more and really dig in and improve in the sport. But we're limited, you know, being tennis an outside sport, it's hard to play throughout the winter, and like it's starting to get colder and it's harder to get out and continue to practice and improve during the winter. And with this facility, it would really improve our chances, you know, have a court, get out there, play, and help our team. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nina.
Hey, Sherry, that was Danny's suggestion. That wasn't ours. Okay, don't put us in on him.
There are ways to collaborate some revenue and other opportunities in our community. I would like some people that are standing here that served on a committee within 2 years of traveling the state and looking at facilities prior to Muhlenberg or Warren County. And we kind of got the runaround, and politicians spoke out both sides of their mouth. And I don't have a deep wallet, and I'm not a politician, but I do care about our community.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we finish up? All right, Chester.
Well, first off, I totally support everything they talk.
Come up front so you can be on tape so we can.
First off, let me talk about Danny. He acts like he doesn't know anything about sports. Just so you all know, he played second base in Little League. Steve Meredith, you know, he had a play in basketball called Old Joe. I don't know what they did, but when they yelled it, everybody moved. But all this is tremendous and wonderful, okay? You know, statistic might change in the last year or two, but I was doing a little research one day, and Kentucky was down at the bottom of the list for the male age expectancy, okay? Second to Mississippi. I got thinking about it. Well, you know, we got plenty of alcohol here, and we got plenty of drugs. We got about all of it that you need, right? Yeah. So we're about almost 4 years less than the national average. So I should be dead in about 2 years. I got it figured. But as you expand this operation, I'd like for you to consider, and it's going to double what you're looking at up there, no doubt, maybe a little more. You should, at some point, think about an indoor Olympic-sized swimming pool. It takes somebody to do something great like that because it is so expensive. And speaking to the lady over here earlier, you know, a perfect example would be the one in Ford's, what's the name of that? Yeah, Beaver Dam.
No, but, yeah, Ohio County.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in Ohio County. You know, they're really expensive. And the one in Elizabethtown, that place has got to be there 40, 50 years. Yeah. And the other one's about 20 years old, but looks like it was built 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, it's in great shape. But you would have an opportunity there to teach kids swimming year-round. You'd have the opportunity for children as they get older and to have sports and swimming for kids. But more importantly, you also would have it for older people. I don't know that. There's 2 ladies on here that neither one can be past the age of 39, okay? But the rest of you guys on there, is anybody there under 55?
Yeah.
All right, we have one liar.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it is, it would serve from little kids up to just about as old as you want to be.
Old kids.
Old kids. And it would be great therapy for the hospital. I can't think of anything better, you know, to send, you know, people for therapy there. So it's a lot of money. It would be at least $10 million, I'm sure. But I think that somebody should start a little research on it to see that you can at some point add it to the complex, because it would fit right in. And that's just the point I wanted to make, is that for the health issue, it'd be great. And you know, the population of Leitchfield, I don't take in the county, but the Leitchfield, 50% of the population, a little greater, is above 40 years old. And if you get down to about 40%, then you're already senior citizens up.
Yeah.
So Leitchfield has a very aging community. And there's a greater population at 40 and above than there is 40 and below. So that's something to consider too for seniors. But this would serve people from basically infants all the way up to whatever. But it is super expensive, and I can't imagine that you could ever make it pay. But that's what you have big government for, and tax dollars and grants and whatever, and I'd like to see you all pursuing that also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chester.
And as was said earlier, we will have room to expand. And myself and some of the school board members and school administration have talked. Being as old as I am, I remember when the only thing at Grayson County High School was girls and boys basketball, baseball, and football. Look at all the opportunities they have now. And I know a lot of people around us have dive teams, they have swim teams. So it's definitely something, Chester, I think that we should look at down the road. And I think our society will demand it at some point. Our kids want what other kids have as far as sports programs.
Too, you should expand it to golf. You know, the golf, I don't know what they do, where they hit the ball in the net and practice.
Yeah.
Just like tennis.
Yeah.
Where you could keep expanding
Right.
as new things come along.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of room.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we would look at is the ability to expand. And the property that we've been donated is perfect for that. There's plenty of room there, so. As Denny said, also, there's, this is a starting point, and we wanted to see what kind of community support we had as a starting point, and I think we're on the right track. Sherry?
Yeah, I have an additional comment that I only heard it echoed by Dr. Lee, and that's our special needs population. Marcia spent several years in that arena as well, and currently serve as a health educator and behavior tech. But we have a rich community here of Special Olympics, and that has really surged over the last 5 to 8 years. And they're endlessly looking for places to practice and have meetings and whatnot too. And I didn't want to not include that population because they are definitely in need.
Well, we have a huge population in the county that demographically and getting them here. I mean, there's a lot of people strapped. We have a huge community that draw government assistance. So we have to be able to get the kids that are really in the BMIs to this facility. And we have to drive something to get them transportation, or their parents financially have to come up with a way to help them out and get them here. You got to want to. Got to want to do it. So that'll be a big struggle or a big undertaking for us also, is getting the kids that really need to be here to utilize the facility.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yeah, if you would, please.
My name is Daniel Miller. This might be an abstract idea. It's actually been proposed already. I'm part of the Twin Lakes Skate Park Foundation. I'm a member. My son is an avid skateboarder himself, and I've heard many people in this room talk about health, and the skateboarding is health. It is very, we do a lot of cardiovascular activities. You're out there with the community, and I want to represent the community, and I want to represent the Twin Lakes Skate Park project. There's actually been some things that the Twin Lakes Skate Park project has been involved in, and we're wanting to receive donations as well, tried to build the funding for a skate park. And I just want to say that I'm totally in favor of this healthplex as well, but skateboarding is a sport as well. It's not a traditional sport. Not every kid, me growing up, I could shoot a basketball, but I wasn't like a team. Like I didn't play a lot of sports, but I did skateboard. There's like a myth out there that says skateboarding is dangerous. Any sport, anything can be dangerous. We actually have had some land that was granted to us behind the public library, as some maybe know. So the land is there. So maybe we could push forward. We just want to gain traction on that. Anybody wants to donate, it's twinlakeskatepark.org. So I just wanted to be here to represent that as well. But I am in favor of the healthplex as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Very good, Eric.
I think Charlie Higdon just got up to speak.
Up front, Charles.
Just kidding, Charlie. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm probably loud enough, but I'll come over. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Stivers. I'm one of the pediatricians at Leitchfield Pediatrics. I've been here for 7, almost 8 years now. I'm not a native of Grayson County. Actually from Breckinridge County, so I'm from a small community too. I'm here just to support the proposal from the medical side of things. Of course, Dr. Lee's already spoken, and of course, much more experience in pediatrics, but currently in the throes of it, we're seeing more and more kids who are needing more medical interventions that are completely preventable because of obesity-related illnesses. Even so much as just having to check things that we would have never thought we'd have to check on 2, 4, 6-year-old kids, checking their cholesterol, because they're already at a point where we have to talk to their families about that being a risk. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about access for different people and for getting kids to the facility that need to be there. The number of parents that themselves need these facilities, and I think that if they had access to them and they were also using it as something as a resource for their child, there are a lot of things you can get people to do for their kids that they wouldn't do for themselves. And if you can encourage them based on that and have that as a facility that they can all utilize, because unfortunately there's a lot of things that are just dichotomous. They're either all adult facilities where you've got gyms and weights where you really don't want your kids on those things because that's going to cause a lot of more visits to our office. And then there are facilities that are jump parks and things like that where you get somebody who's a little bit farther on, they're going to end up at their doctor with their own illnesses or injuries from those types of uses. And having 2 very active young boys myself, I would love to have something in this community to support that. And everybody is advocating for different sports and things, and I would like to throw out, if there's any way to put in a floor is lava, that would be a really great thing, and I would probably never see my youngest kid again. But also coming from a small community and knowing that there are limited things in other communities, this is an opportunity that we can't miss to keep our people here. I was recruited to come here by, my office, knowing that I was from a small community and knowing that I have a heart for a small community, and that's where I want to be. But I also want my kids to have opportunities. I want my patients to have opportunities, and I want other kids who are growing up here to want to come back here for their families too. I would really like you all to support this.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anyone else?
I would like to speak a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, Jimmy, I know I told you I would not. But I'll make it quick.
You want to read a letter?
No, I don't. Tammy has a letter of recommendation from our chairman, Ryan Bratcher, but I felt like I've heard the word tourism here so much tonight. And I wanted to let you know that we realize the importance of this facility and what it would mean to our community, and of course also to tourism, as sports tourism is becoming very popular. And it always has been, but even more so now. And we do feel like it would bring in more hotels, more restaurants, everything that would benefit us. But really, just to know that we do support it, we're interested in knowing more specifics and being a part of the project. Okay.
I assume you're going to be a significant financial supporter too?
We are interested in knowing more specifics and being a part, but I do feel like we would be a supporter.
Significant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa.
Anyone else?
Judge, would you like to say anything?
No, I was just interested in seeing the opinions of the people, and it sounds like it's very, very popular. Physical court, I can't speak for the magistrates, I've spoken to them individually, and they think that it would be a good opportunity, hopefully, for the community for this to go forward. So, I know you just made a joke about funding, but we would be more interested in to know, spoke to some of the council members also, how it will be funded, who's going to maintain it. There's a lot of questions to be asked, and but I think that bridge can be crossed. So the Grayson County Board is in favor of the project moving forward, and I think we've got one of the best tennis coaches in the state, and cross country goes to state every year. Cross country coach, how many years? 34? 34 years. So I think it's a positive thing for the community, and I mean there's a lot of things that's going to go along with it that will actually coattail behind this project. So I'm glad to see it moving forward. I was actually, remember when Steve done the first project, and it sort of, it got really good steam, and then it just sort of died out, and, but, I mean, I think it's time to move forward, so I appreciate y'all listening.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else? Tammy, you want to read the letter real quick?
And while she's walking up there, I want to thank Tammy too. She's made a lot of miles. We've hit a lot of places, and you've been every one of them. So thanks.
Thank you. It's been a collaborated affair. I received this letter from Ryan Bratchard, and I just thought I'd read it to you. Litchfield City Council, please consider participating in the funding and operation of the proposed recreation center to be located at East Carroll Gibson Boulevard in Litchfield. The Litchfield Tourism Commission fully supports the construction of such a venue. Not only would a facility of this caliber benefit our local citizens, sports tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors of our tourism. The proposed complex will provide an excellent location for any number of year-round events, including, but not limited to, a wide range of sporting events and tournaments. Sports tournaments, as made apparent by baseball and softball tournaments already in Litchfield, bring thousands of participants and spectators to our community to spend millions of dollars annually in our local economy. And saying that, tournaments that we have at the ballpark are phenomenal. This weekend, we're going to have one of the largest ones we've had in the last 2 years. There's going to be 33 teams here. All 7 fields are being used. Over 1,000 people will be in our community, which benefits our local restaurants. We provide them with tournament record or schedules so that they know when they're coming. It just really benefits our community a lot, and this could only expand with basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, archery. It's just a great revenue for our community, and I just think this is the right direction to go so that we could grow and mostly better the kids in our community, give them something so they're not having to travel miles and miles, that they can have something right here to enjoy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
So, do you all have to vote on this, or what's the next step? Like, is it a done deal that it's gonna happen, we just don't know what's gonna be put in it?
We're not going to vote on anything tonight. As Danny said, this is kind of a starting point, just to gauge the support from the community. And so it's kind of, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of an ongoing process. I don't want to speak for the council myself. I would love to see this happen. And I think there's some hoops that we're going to have to jump through, but I think we've got a good shot. It's not a 100% sure thing, but we've got a good shot at it this time, and I think we can pull it off, and we'll be a better community for it, so.
Going to do our best.
What makes it 100% for sure thing? Like she said, what is the next step?
Do we need to come back?
Hey, I'd like to see it this crowded every council meeting, really.
Amen.
So, I think going forward, we'll look at it. I think one of the first things we'll start looking at, Brittany and Denny chime in anytime, but obviously the biggest point is its finances. We'll look at financing it, see what's available, see what would be feasible for the city to do, what we could get as far as state government with Senator Meredith, things like that. I think that's going to be one of the things we're going to have to start looking at pretty soon and seeing if that, if we feel like that's something we can do. Gina?
I do. I don't disagree with you, but I think we decide what we want and what we want in it, then you get you see, because if you get the money, then you're gonna build whatever. But I agree with whoever said, build it, they'll come. So let's shoot for what we want. And then it's easier to prove and show. I think in my opinion, the next step would be to have some sort of list and take that list to someone who can draw out a plan, because you can't really get an accurate quote, or you won't know what you're dealing with if you don't have something to show that what you're asking for.
Yeah. And that'll cost some money to get that
and
done.
that's the next step.
That was our thought. We do have $150,000 budgeted. I think it was 150, wasn't it, Billy?
I think so.
For economic development, and I think clearly this meets the criteria of being economic development. So this will allow us maybe to get the plan set, and I think the first step, you generally ask for a request for proposal. Lori probably, or Scotty probably knows more about this than anybody here. You probably had projects like this before, but you get an architectural request for proposal to get things rolling on there and get a bid for that. You're not spending any money, you're just asking them to tell us how much this is going to cost for what we want. And honestly, get things started. I would make a motion to start that now, at least to get it out there. And then we can start having meetings as to what exactly we want in our facility, but at least to have an idea of what we could do, just get it going. Because if we don't, I'm afraid it's going to be like a lot of other things. It's going to be passed on and passed, and pretty soon it's going to be next year, and we got August of 26 to break ground. And we've got other partners too. I think we got the Hospital Foundation. I mean, they had some ideas on how they would like to, and Brittany may be able to speak to it, but when we made a proposal to them, they had some ideas on how they would like to see it done. Tourism is going to be a huge partner, hopefully, in a lot of ways. And before I forget it, I want to be a Debbie Downer real quick, but you all pray for Kelly Stevenson. He's really having a hard time.
Yes,
He's in
he
the
is.
hospital and not doing very well at all. He was going to be here tonight to speak on behalf of the project, but remember him when you pray tonight.
I'll give you some kind of idea on a pool. Everybody that I have talked to, and Scotty can probably back me up, maintenance is a nightmare on the indoor pool. Humidity, water, looks great on the outside. Inside infrastructure's a struggle. So that would probably be a standalone with a walkway or something with it on that part. So, but I really enjoy everybody coming out and voicing. It's the biggest meeting we've ever had, and as far as enthusiasm and people coming out and speaking their opinions, thank each and every one of you for coming.
Absolutely.
So.
You mentioned the architect. Again, what are you going to tell that architect you want?
That's the problem.
How would you get an architect, or how would he even quote this project without you telling him, hey, this is what we want? Somebody, a committee or something is going to have to be formed to give that architect what you want to do.
I think if I remember right, Elsa was telling me about the aquatic center, that you all had people come in and do presentations like architectural firms, like this is what we can do for you. This is our ideal. And
So we
pitched.
gave them a general idea, a checklist of what we
you can have this in addition to that, it would be this. We just gave us more of
I'll give you a little insight. Elsa will probably back me up. The Aquatic Center, we're open 4 months,
Right.
about $600,000 in maintenance. For 4 months.
Denny, whenever you decide, you all decide to give the architect or whoever plans of what you want, I would like for those plans to initially include the tennis courts. Those would be highly utilized. It's not only a youth sport, those are also adult sports. And that would also bring in, this is not going to bring, I keep hearing revenue, and, you know, maybe 15, 20 years down the road, it might generate some revenue. But we don't have any recreational program that we even break even on. And that's okay, because we don't do it to make money off of it. We do it to provide services to our community members, to our youth, to our adults. So please include the tennis courts in that. And when you're talking about the elevated walking track, go ahead and include the elevator too. I mean, if we're going to invest, I saw the number of $8 to $10 million. I've got more of at least 12 million. If we're going to invest all of these millions of dollars, what's a few more hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in an elevator? But definitely include the tennis courts.
Mayor, I've got a question also.
Yes, sir.
Sort of pertains to that, is the council going to make this decision as far as the architect goes with all the different partners, or will there be a committee set of council people with health department people, with foundation people, and then I had spoken to Brittany and Denny both about our contribution possibly is we've got mineral sediments monies
Right, okay.
that we could use.
Okay.
And how's that going to break down? Or is the council going to make the decision? Is the council going to say, we're going to put 2 tennis courts in, 2 pickleball courts, or is there going to be a committee set to come up with that decision?
I think what we envision is a committee of
Can I make a suggestion? Brittany Clemens is who organized this tonight and got all these people here, which is fabulous. Like you said, this is probably the biggest meeting that's ever happened here. Can I suggest that you all task Brittany with creating that committee that can meet to talk about this? Because she's a neutral party that can bring all of these different organizations together to make sure that all the right people are at the table and make the decision.
And we haven't, as I said, I can't specify an amount, I just know it will be significant, the contribution from the foundation. There are several things that's contingent upon, obviously, like official architectural drawings. One of those is an advisory board, if this project moves forward, to guide that project and assure that everything's moving on track as far as the timeline, and that this doesn't get held up so that we can see that project through. So that is one of the things that is contingent upon. So it may be a good idea to go ahead and throw a committee together if the council wishes to move forward to investigate this further.
Will you accept that task, Brittany?
I will accept that.
I figured you would.
And one thing too, we probably need to know who all's going to be, partners.
Yeah, that will be your committee.
That's a big deal.
The financial burden to people.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Did you catch that, Kevin? Brittany's.
No, I couldn't hear, honestly.
Brittany's going to take on forming a committee of that nature and people that.
Brittany's actually the one I spoke to about the whole time, her and Denny, and she's pretty well into the whole thing.
Right.
So, I mean, she's helped out with different projects that we're involved in, her and Jessica both, actually, so they've done really well, so, yeah, I mean, it was just a question.
Okay.
I didn't know exactly how the process was going to go.
Yeah, we want those that are involved and want to be involved, and especially shareholders that'll be involved in the financial aspect of it. So. All right, anyone else? Patty?
Public speaker, so I'm not going to come up there, but I just want to say there's been so much support expressed tonight, and that's obvious. And the city council opinion.
I agree.
I'll follow that up, Patty, with, I wasn't part of the first run at it, but I was part of the second run at it, and as Steve said, we were that close. Now's the time to push it across the finish line. Let's just do it.
Make it happen. For everybody.
Everything.
Thank you. Yeah.
My name's Travis, and as a parent, I'm not gonna speak on mine. As a parent.
People can see you on
as-
video.
I got 3 children, and 2, my oldest and my youngest, have been a part of a travel, team of some sorts. And with the travel, my son got to go to a World Series and compete, you know, in Crown Point, Indiana. My daughter just competed in a World Series in Ohio in softball. And my daughter she plays on a travel softball team, and we go to Elizabethtown, Owensboro, and so many different places around us just for her to have a practice facility.
Yeah.
So this will definitely benefit my children, well, probably not my children, because they'll be aged out by the time you see this, but I have grandchildren.
Yeah.
And just from my daughter's standpoint, you know, it cost us $5 each visit, so $5 with 13 kids to have one batting cage in the E-Town facility.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact is, and it is full every time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody here, nobody here has mentioned Bluegrass Sports Park tonight, but we do spend a lot of time there.
Okay.
And I would recommend anybody to go there because it's awesome.
Don't we have new batting cages then?
We do.
You utilize ours?
Where are they at?
Ballpark?
This is indoor. So and yes.
With a machine, I'm assuming. With a machine, probably?
With
Yeah.
machines, yes, and they have, one thing I've heard you all talk about was, physical fitness and all that. They have a section back there in the corner, and they have a trainer on site. I mean, to get your kid, for your kid to just, it's $40 an hour.
Yeah.
And if you show up with a team, you know, it's less, but one-on-one is $40 an hour. And this guy stays in there 8 to 10 hours a day. And it's around the clock. So I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not sure what pay he gets, but that's what the facility charges.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of really cool, so yes, I think this is a great idea, and I still think that we shouldn't discredit tennis, soccer. You know, I think that's, and another thing, our golf team has I don't even know how the golf team on our school team, where they go, but a golf simulator would be awesome. I think, if you could have a couple, 4 or 5 of those set up behind.
And I don't disagree with you at any, but sometimes the school needs to step up and help.
Look, hopefully we get a new school board.
Okay, I mean, really, you all tell me.
Moving forward.
They were supportive.
Senator Meredith has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Steve.
Just a suggestion, great discussion this evening. I really like the idea of the advisory board. And when we were looking at doing the community college, we invited architects to, we talked about what we thought we wanted in it. And then we invited numerous architects to develop a conceptual design for it, which didn't cost us anything. But you get that competition among architectural firms, and that kind of helps drive down the costs of those as well. So what you're really committing to is getting somebody to do a conceptual design of this. There's really just lines. So here's what it looks like. Just a thought.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? All right. Listen, guys, we do appreciate you coming out. I know there's some people that had to leave for whatever reason. If you see them, express our appreciation to them also. And we look forward to seeing all your faces in the future to keep this thing rolling. So we appreciate you being here.
And if you've got any private donors out there that you know of that would like to
sign a check
like
and put
to
them
give,
out.
just sign your check and turn it over. We'll be glad to take it.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make motion we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Clayton, second by Billy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any